Oh, man. Oh, God. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll never know what I'm laughing about, and that's completely okay. Right, draft number 2. Coming through for the Victor's game against TT. God damn, you make me laugh like that. Right, getting into the second draft of the day. Of course, standard drafting means that all of the champions played in Game 1 are still available, as opposed to what happened in our group stage earlier in the tournament. No Twisted Fate for TT. IG, they are on the blue side. Might get ourselves a Leona first pick as it stands, because that's currently not been put onto the ban list so far. Need to see what will come through from there. I mean, yeah, Leona, I think, is really high priority now that it hasn't been banned through, and a lot of the other priority picks have been taken elsewhere. Could also look for that Corki. But yeah, this pick just seems to warp the game so much. It's really convenient, easy engage, very, very tanky, strong laning phase. Kind of does everything as it stands right now. TT, they could go towards Yukel's Corki or something like that. I don't know whether I like Yukel's Corki too much. I think this is a lot better. This is important now. Leona, great at a lot of things. Not good versus Ashe Braum. I think if you lock in Ashe now from TT, look for Braum on 3. That could really work for them. It wouldn't be surprising to see them lock that in. I'm kind of sad, honestly, that they're going towards this Ezreal. Yes, 1xN, good Ezreal player. The Ashe Braum is so strong, though. I would like to see that.
It's also a takeaway, I suppose, from Arn, who does play the Ezreal, and it is good with Leona because you can proc the passive so easily with your Q. Thank you for elucidating on why that combo works. Yes, I knew it was a good combo. I just didn't know what the interaction was that made it a good combo. So I assumed it had something to do with the passive, but there you go. Glad to hear it. Beitwan, debating the Zyra between that and the Ezreal, your ability to play from a very obnoxious range and be quite hard to get on top of could be pretty difficult for even a Leona to manage.
TT are playing for long range. IG, they specialize in flanking backline access team comps. So they're looking for stuff like Jax, Camille. If they get a hand of that, hand onto that rather, I think TT, despite them having range, are going to have issues because you've got the Vampire Leona going forwards with the Ziggs on top of it. That's already part of it. Now if you get a flanking threat from someone else, whether that's Nene on Yone or YSKM or something like Jax or Camille, I think that TT's style of composition here could be under threat.
I think by locking in the Ziggs as well, they allow Griffiths to go towards something like the Viego as well, which he does like to get a hold of occasionally, even if it is a little harder to find those AD carry junglers in the current meta. An early Jax lock again, feeling like that IG want to give the counter pick elsewhere in the draft. I can understand that decision. I think after a rough early laning phase, actually YSKM did a pretty good job in the mid game of getting some value back. So even if he's worried about the Kennen, which they've actually banned away anyway, feeling like he can play that matchup.
Yeah, and again, this is exactly the same thing. IG saying, right, you're playing around range carries. Sure, you do that. We're going to start flanking you with big combos. TT, lots of range. They have some pretty good early lanes here as well. The Lucian's strong in that early laning phase, and they can ban away stuff like the Yone from Nene as well now. Maybe Nene.
Watch Nene.
Yeah.
So then who's running Neela then?
Oh, for the whip. Yeah. Well, I was thinking we already have like Zyra for like the Vine whip, but yeah, anyway, so they're going to ban away that Yone. They'll probably ban away another strong laning champion from Nene at this point. And TT will then probably need to make sure they're winning the early game again, because already on paper, IG, they're in a comfort zone with good champions to flank the enemy team comp.
I'll just remind me about Neela Lee Sin level 1 madness when we get a chance. But they will instead, moving away from bizarre thoughts of other champions not in this game, towards these bans. They're getting rid of the Yone, they're getting rid of the Corki. That is the entire trinity of high-profile AD mid laners out of the way right now for the side of Nene. Between that, Tristana earlier ban as well, on top of those 2 second-round bans. On the other side, a couple of those tank matchups that Hoya does like to go towards, taken off the table. Looking towards something like a Gragas. It's a no matchup into the Jax. Not a lot he can counter-strike away from, so it might be the option here for Hoya.
It's disengaged too. So yeah, TT, they're playing now around range. Zyra disengage on one side, Gragas disengage on the other. And if you do lock in that Alistar last pick, which you're free to do so, you have a good ability to, again, punt someone out of the play. So now TT, they see that IG wants to be flanking them with these 3 picks, and they say, okay, let's give ourselves some options to get away from that. Really hard to get away from Leona and Sejuani. It's really, really difficult to get away from that melee combo. I would really like to see that. Don't know if I'd like to see that quite as much, the other hover. Yeah, the Sejuani, really good lock-in. Does mean now that TT, again, they're going to be really, really hard-pressed to escape this engage.
Lock in the Jace as well. Interesting choice, with all the AD mid lanes kind of taken out of the equation. Jace becomes one of those few remaining options that could be played towards the mid lanes. Will be picked up. Last pick now for Thundertalk Gaming, depending on what they want to go to. Probably
Yeah,
for
so
support.
you want something tanky. You want that Alistair. That Alistair just allows you to just stand in front of something. And now, this is the one way where you can kind of shrug off the Sejuani ultimate. You stand the Alistair in front of it, and you pop the ult. You kind of like use ult for ults on that case. So TT, I think this is going to be quite a risky game for them. IG, they have comfort, they have combos. I need to see UCal dominate this lane in the mid lane. Lucian used to be a counter to the Jace because you can dash out of that to the skies and you can trade over the wave better than the Jace can do. But if TT get into a point where they lazily walk up towards an objective, IG will pounce. IG almost found themselves some good engages even in that disastrous last game. So for IG to get themselves towards something a bit more of a comfortable draft without that same threat of losing out those side lanes, hopefully, I think that IG are in a better position than the last.
For all the disengage is good from TET, for all the range is pretty solid from them. Leona Sejuani combos lands, the follow-up from the Jace, from the Ziggs, from the Jax from the flank, still means that pretty much any member who is not an ulting Alistair dies in pretty swift order, especially because I don't think Gragas gets to build tank in the way he used to as freely.
So, Invictus Gaming up against the wall. Thunder Talk, they looked very off against Rare Atom, but they have really switched on today against Invictus Gaming. IG look to bring it back to even. Thunder Talk would like to seal this out as an easy 2-0 to get themselves onto that win column and make sure this Nirvana group, the losers of each of the group, gets a little bit closer in that mid-table.
Game 1 was a whitewash in favor of TT. That failed invade cost Invictus Gaming pretty much for the rest of the game. Of course, we know this team has a little bit more to them, and TT will be wanting to stifle that again if they can, make sure that they are still in the running here in this Nirvana group, trying to out-grunge their grunge brothers here. Calls the support for the various teams over and done with, and once again a level 1 being considered here by Invictus Gaming.
But you're into Zyra, that's why you're doing it. Beichuan, if he's not stood in the right place, won't get his passive seeds spawning in the right place either. He'll get a couple of them now, and you can see that IG, they haven't really been able to stave this off. We've seen this as the answer to the Zyra jungle's early clear. You get into the enemy jungle and you make sure that they can't clear as effectively. But as you can see, the passive is going to give an extra 2-3 seeds to work with, which means you're going to get yourself still that really strong first camp clear, 2 already there, and you'll get that third seed spawning just before the camp comes up. TT, they're going to see Beichuan probably clearing in about 2 minutes 54. That's about the time that we've been seeing.
It is very rapid indeed.
Wow, Yuko literally barriering level 1 to get a good trade. Wow, I mean, he has really been a player too. He's done this on the Zeri too. Just to say, hey, I'm going to take a good trade level 1 to make sure I can win this lane early.
And in fairness, Barry not on the longest cooldown. I can sort of see, like, one may as well get a use out of it early and try and get some value before junglers get involved.
So, Barrier was changed recently, so it has a longer cooldown than it had. Still a short cooldown, but it does give you better value. It's a better shield for it. So, Yukal just saying, right, I'm winning this level 1 trade and trying to get some good damage. You can see that Feather looking for that headbutt level 1 just to make sure that you can get some extra damage. The only way you can poke people out is the Alistair. So, you get the headbutt, get something there, and so you can get some lane control.
Yukal has got the early shove, so successful. The option with the barrier so far is going to be down the summoner, but it was the value gained was what he was looking for.
Yeah, and it means that you get to protect your own jungle. He gets a ward down now into bot side river entrance to see if GLFS was going to go for something cheeky in bot side, and they know that in fact he won't be doing that at this point. Beichuan on good clear time right now. Again, we say that around about 2 minutes 55, that's about the kind of timer you're looking for the clear, which is why we're hovering over this right now, and we'll see exactly when it goes down to it. Watch when that CS ticks over on the bottom side. On a good clear speed right now, and his lanes are doing very fine. Bot lane's winning, mid lane's winning.
Exactly that, clearing in good order. There's not really any contest right now. In fact, the Sejuani pathing away from the Zyra right now.
There we go.
So Beichuan does get to come down right towards the
right
bot lane.
on time. Gets himself that clear before 3 minutes, and because Feather and 1xN have been winning this early lane, there might be the chance of something here. Good pokes there. Gonna be quite hard to land anything particularly big. That Leona's hard to dive, but they are still level 2. Arn has to back off. TT focusing on the strong point of IG and saying that, Arn, you're the best player. Let's make sure you're not having a good game.
Forced away from the wave at the very least, not really able to contest here. The plants come down again. There's no jungler here for a little while. Sejuani is pathing down here, I don't know if they're going to get here in time, but they're still thinking of diving this. There will be a 2v3.
No, they're not looking to dive. I think they just want to stop IG's bot lane from getting XP. Now Arn's away from turret, has to flash away. GLFS is here, though.
There's the turnaround. This is what I was worried about. The body block is solid. Double headbutt into a pulverize. Gets something to work with. There's a teleport in from Nani, though. Gets tricky. Damage onto Vampire is big. First blood as a flash to the sky. But Nani gets so much value. It all goes so very wrong for Thunder Talk.
You took the barrier in mid lane. You don't have that global. IG, they outlast the pressure in bot side, and they get themselves the kills. TT overdive towards the bot side, and it's them with the early game advantage this time around. TT, they had that control of mid lane, but it doesn't stop Nani from getting in towards that bot side. Big mistake from TT as an overall team to let this happen. You can see, you know, IG, he flashes away from the headbutt pulverize. If he is hit by that, then yes, absolutely, that's an easy kill. But now you've ended up using your flash forwards. You're stuck into place, much like we saw from that Nautilus in the last one. If you flash forward and you don't get that kill, you don't have that flash to get out. Nani gets in, and even though the wave is lost in mid lane, Nani gets himself 2 kills off the back of this, and that is more than a worthy trade.
Just saw Griffith passing the other way. They will get a kill in mid lane as a result of all of that, so they do trade back somewhat. That's important. But
well, that's very important, because now that means you lost that wave earlier. Now you're losing another one. UCAL is going to be a whole level up on Nani, so at least TT used the fact that that global was used in mid lane to some good advantage.
Exactly. That will be potentially very dangerous as Beichuan goes into the enemy jungle, looks to steal away some camps while on spawns. And then he back to lane, but again has lost another wave. The gold is actually dead even in mid lane, despite the 2 kills going against the Lucian.
Yeah, so at least, in the last game when that early game mistake was made, there wasn't really another answer available. TT find one here, at least in this one. So you can see that bot lane still ahead. You can see that Arn still down in XP. Mid lane still very much down in XP as well. So TT, even though they throw a bad play towards bot side, get something out of it. Feather came straight out of his death time and goes straight towards mid lane. I think he just gets a Hex Flash straight into mid lane too after that point. Gonna see the picture-in-picture of how this happens. Yeah, okay. Nani hovers on the wrong side of the lane. Hex Flash in, instant kill. Well played from Feather.
Cows with a Feather gank mid together or something like that. I don't know whether the Lucian can be considered, like, it's not really a high noon skin, so it's not like there's even a cowboy angle on this one, but here we are.
Yeah, that is a play. That is a light of all time. UCAL hits level 6, has that level advantage again, as we were saying. Beitron helping him out in this lane. You know, this Lucian, this was passed. The Corki was passed over for the Lucian. UCAL has not really been the best Corki player. The fact that he's ended up going towards this Lucian and plays it out quite well is quite telling of TT's comfort champions as it stands right now.
Well, you're going to get hit with the counter-strike, but not too worried right now. All the while, Grub's being taken by the Zyra. Should be pretty uncontested here with the way the game is, but 1xN is going for money fruit.
He is very, very lucky that no one spotted him doing this. Buddy, what are you doing? Buddy,
are you sure?
Wait, he's gonna get through this. Hang on, how the hell has he managed to work his way through here? Spots out GLFS, finds him alone here. He might even, he's just used his cooldowns on it. He can even look for a kill.
He can probably get quite a lot of value here. Here comes Feather and UCAL. They're gonna have to satchel charge the Ezreal away.
I actually think he could look for a kill. Oh wow, how the hell did that happen? Somehow, Secret agents himself into bot lane, bot side river, and then back towards the tower. Almost catches out Griffith in the advance too. 1xN. That is one of the more unique plays I've seen recently.
So he walks into river to get the honey fruit, and then bypasses ships in the night style 2 members, and then finds one moored up by Gromp.
Yeah, that was really weird, because then UCAL missed the cannon. Look, these observers, they don't give you any reprieve here. But
exclamation mark cannon in chat, guys.
Don't you dare start that up again. You know, I feel like I should reset that at some point, but that's just been there over the entirety of my stream's history, so it'll just be there. They highlight Nani getting the cannon on the other side. Oh man, we really have it all here. Jesus. Hoya gets himself a back in lane. Already took himself a hard trade though. Has Beitron on the top side, and there's also a cask. Milwaukee might have to get himself a flash out, and indeed he does. Hoya goes for the instant combo. You have to throw that ult mid-flight, so it looks a little bit awkward once the flash comes away, but still, getting that summoner spell, a good win.
Still, it's a nominal lead to TT here, which is surprising after that bot lane play went as wrong as it did. But here we are with an even mid lane, just about of a lead in the bot lane, and just about a lead in the top lane in the other side.
YSKM just used that ult on that all-in to try to find something. Hoya showing that, yes, you can just bop the Gragas out of most of his big trades, so that's something. This is now an even early game. I like this, because in that first game, it was so one-sided, and you can't really judge much of the game beyond that point, because the game's so out of sorts. TT, they have themselves that grub, so you haven't gotten yourself the dragon on the other side for IG, so IG falling behind in the objective game, and it's fairly even across most roles elsewhere. That does kind of mean that there is still the chance to be the team that starts the snowball. IG would really like to be the one to do that this game.
Be perhaps a little easier said than done, especially as a lot of these early objectives, again, going the way of Thundertalk. They've gotten the early grubs, they're onto the early dragon. The Zyra is continuing to pull ahead in farmers. This is kind of the way she works right now, and everywhere else has played out the game well enough, as we said, except with the exception of that mess-up play in the bot lane. Still looking okay for TT, at least in terms of the non-gold metrics.
Yeah, so TT, if they can use those grubs, things work out much better for them. YSKM going to hit by that Q, and he's going to get hit by the Comet afterwards. Hoya does have himself a cask. There's a good amount of damage available, especially with YSKM not having the big ult available either. You can see that with Griffith in the bot side. Feather has level 6, might be forced to use it. For one extent, also has Cleanse. Hard for him to find a player here, and that's why Griffith is not really going for the all-in, just wants to play disengage where possible.
Send E for the Q there as well, just to get some more trade in. We'll chunk out with the ultimate too, so Vampire down to about half HP.
And what that means is that Vampire can't really stick around. Now, he has one pot ticking, but he can't really stick around for any kind of dragon take. Baitron's clearing through his camps. He'll get himself towards that Leandries. And it means that because Vampire's on the recall, it means that TT probably have a better chance to go towards the dragon next. Good chunk in bot side, buys them the free reset, means they can get back out onto the map with that first item starting to come through, particularly with Baitron on that. Leandry's very, very happy at this point. Now we get ourselves some big item power spikes for the next fight. Until the next recalls come through from IG, they are behind in terms of their big kind of moments of power. They have Tabbies on mid lane, but they don't have the first item. On the other side, you have the Kraken Slayer, and you have that Leandries, which means that TT pretty happy now if they take a fight next.
Be a little bit scared of potentially Vampire looking for an engage as Feather goes forward to put down a Warden Baitron here. Feeling like they could potentially do some damage, as the mid lane control is what both teams are looking for right now.
Yeah, and again, so TT, they could go towards the Dragon, they could go towards the Grubs. I think going into Fog of War, when you, again, saying that maybe Vampire's threatening the engage, that's going to lead into a bit of struggle. You can see now that Arn has now gone back to get himself another back, and they're going to go towards now the bot side of the map. TT have the control over this bot side river, though, which is better than their situation in top side. Vampire still going to throw through the Solar Flare.
Oh no, the Shock Blast was blocked by plants. It doesn't work out as well as they're hoping, and now the turnaround of the Stranglethorns is good. They lose the dragon, and they lose a kill.
Vampire finds the ult, but he can't gain the follow-up after that point. The Shock Blast is blocked. Feather body blocks afterwards. TT take another early game fight, and IG, it's another situation where they probably should have just not taken the fight in the first place. It has been their stylistic flaw. TT gonna run over the objectives in the early game, and now with 6 grubs likely on the other side, this could be really, really killer. IG looking to contest again because of how poor this would be for them.
Won't have that many ultimates, those could get very tricky. Body block on the Jax, who's down to a 3rd HP. Griffith has to back away. They're already down 5 grubs, so it's only one nominal one they could steal away. It is a disaster again in the early game.
IG, they had such good early games in their first series versus Ultra Prime, and it feels like this time they've just been outmatched by TT. They try and go for this big play towards bot side, but TT, they have made the intelligent play. Go towards the side of the map where you have the better terrain and the better vision, and you can see that, yes, the CC goes down onto Baitron. They don't quite have the Ziggs damage yet. They don't have quite the follow-up. Stranglethorn's Feather throwing his ult, give enough body blocking for TT to survive the first part of the fight, win the second.
And, you know, when you're putting an empowered Shock Blast out at this point in the game and you're hitting a plant that doesn't die from it either, it feels really sad. And now there's Lucian from UCAL, a player who has not been on the form he was on last year, where he was looking like one of the very best mid laners in the LPL. This has been a couple very good games for him, statement games for him. The TF mid was an MVP, got a 9-1 on that champion. This game, 2-0 on the Lucian, running the barrier, continue to be obnoxious as he possibly can be in this lane. It's what you like to see from a player who we had come to expect more from.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just going to throw this out there too. we spent a lot of time criticizing Vampire in that first game. That play there was not necessarily his fault.
No.
I have to say, you know, he hits the ultimate onto the right target. It's just the rest of the team fight which goes wrong from that point. There is a question about whether they should have taken that fight in the first place. He wasn't necessarily the culprit there. So IG, that feels like more of a team issue. Need to see IG step up in terms of their team fight decision making. Understand whether they can win a fight when they're taking it a little bit better. And as soon as Arn gets his big items, maybe that will end up getting to a point where those big plays work more in their favor.
And the thing is, the gold is close enough. The issue is all of the neutral objectives have gone the way of TT. UCal gets to chunk YSKM out to about half HP, force a reset there as well. They're going to try and get a couple last plates while they can.
Yeah, and also it's going to be making sure that YSKM can't push out top lane in the lead up to the Herald, which means that TT, who have been playing very well around objectives today, will have themselves another good setup in regards to that one. UCal, he has dominance in his top side, and also he has the barrier. Needs to be careful though, doesn't have a cleanse, needs to dodge out the skill shots.
They were aware of it. There's a flash on in. Still lands the ultimate, though. Flash out from the Solar Flare, but the Zenith Blade after this UCal in a 1v3 in the blink of an eye goes down.
So, lead up to Herald, YSKM gets chunked out, but UCal overstays on a weak side of the map. His team was not there to support him, and he goes down regardless of whether he has both summoners or not. That should buy IG the Herald. TT immediately try and cross-map. They do have themselves 6 grubs, though, which means that the cross-map will be strong. IG going to take the top turret. They will have a Jax and Jace hammering on that, so that'll definitely go down. But I think that TT will get themselves at least clean bot tower take as well. The 6 grubs making their cross map easier.
You can see that UCal thought he was fine. He's chunked out his lane opponent. There's no one here. We'll be fine. And then 3 members turn up in the blink of an eye. It's still going to cost IG at least a little bit on the cross map. But still, they needed to make something happen. And of course, the moment I praise UCal, he dies like that. Feels about right.
That he does. TT, if they get themselves onto mid lane, things will change as well against 6 grubs. So you got Feather threatening the all-in to On, who has no mana. So that's going to be half the mid lane turret down already. In fact, just a little bit more than that. 6 grubs, the DOT on that, very important. The big thing for IG is now that they have the Ziggs with the Herald. If they get themselves a point where that can kind of lead to a big advantage, that could be huge. The fact that On is teleporting in here is really important too. You need to have immediate wave clear here. One more wave onto that turret, and you lose that turret too.
Teleport gets a good chunk there. I'm assuming an item completion just coming on through to do some work. No, already had the Ludens. It was just the Haunting guys coming in on top of that. Still good burn. 1xN down about half HP as a result of that. Will need to reset himself. So,
TT needs to be afraid of this this Herald now. That was a bit of a blip on the radar. They are still even in gold. It's not like they're completely winning through on everything right now. You need to be careful of the fact that YSKM is getting to a point of power on this Jax. You need to be careful of the fact that Arn is getting to a point of power on the Ziggs too. If you walk into Fog of War, that Ziggs ultimate and the Shock Blast afterwards is going to be absolutely insane amounts of damage. TT, the Dragon's up soon. If they take themselves that one, they'll be happy to get themselves a couple of those neutral objectives again working in their favor. Seeing if they can work out a big advantage in this. They can miss cannon, a bit of a sad moment.
Yeah, even the fully charged cast, not enough to bring that particular cannon under the table. Reset, though, from the Jax. And YSKM in a much healthier spot than he was last game, trying to play that knife's edge and trying to push the line because they really felt like there wasn't many other options.
So TT have a couple of options now. They can go heavily towards bot side, GLFS going towards top side instead. Feather has himself, you can't really combo onto an Alistar with ult and the passive item as well. So IG, if they had left towards to go towards Dragon, they would have given up mid lane turret. They go towards top side instead to try and get themselves something here. They're trying to get themselves a point where, of course, the Herald can end up being a bit of a cannon minion itself. Vampire misses the ult.
That's unfortunate. The turnaround with the flash pulverized means Vampire again faces the sunlight. Down again. That one goes towards the Zyra. Beichuan sidestepping everything, and then the follow-up is beautiful.
That should give up the mid lane turret, I think. Two big ults!
That's a huge turnaround, but wait, hang on. The damage afterwards still pretty big from TT. The satchel from Feather back towards the turret is nice as well. Stays alive, 1xN. Lots of low health bars to play with, but can't land a kill.
So 1 for 1, all things said and done, in the mid lane. Because, again, you have such big kind of like tower damage on either side, you need to be very careful about those mid lane turrets. Very close contest in the mid lane. Hoya's going to take, again, the 6 grubs, even as a Gragas, to start doing damage to those towers, importantly so. TT, it feels like they're chipping down these objectives a little bit quicker than IG can handle as it stands. IG, if they make one more poor play, I think the map might just fall apart with it. We're getting to the point where the game is probably going to be like changing pretty drastically. If IG lose one more big kill, that's going to be mid and top lane turret falling in one fell swoop.
Still means the Herald play goes wrong. Ziggs doesn't get to satchel it. We get to see this replay here because Beitron sidesteps everything.
I like how the Herald is summoned on the other side of the wall. It gives Arn a chance to go forwards and auto-attack, but Vampire just bluntly misses the CC. He doesn't have flash and he dies for it. Vampire, poor moment from him, sadly. He's a tanky Leona, but not quite that tanky. Luckily, Griffith managed to land a really good ult just as Beitron comes into lane as he's looking to try and get some poke onto Nani. Beitron bit eager there with Beitron punished by his opposing number.
A little bit unfortunate there. Could have been a tower for them. That's quite happens all the while. The Lucian gets tower on topside. Flash comes on in, but another fantastic Stranglethorn. Teleport behind. Vampire in danger. Arn also now a threat. Griffith throws a Smithy, but ult.
That is just at a complete right angle to the place he wanted to. Arn is going to have to get himself a point now to teleport back in if he can help it. And what did we say? IG, make one more poor play, maybe lose all of your turrets. They lost the top lane, they lose a kill, they lose themselves the mid lane after this point, almost certainly too. TT, they've basically just been looking to see whether Vampire oversteps and punish him at that point. Luckily, IG managed to wave clear through mid lane because Arn has his ult still available. But IG, they cannot afford these mistakes.
Hoya, you're going to be in a 1v2 pretty shortly here. This gets very scary very fast. Gets a decent cask option, but there's no real way to escape here over the wall. Beitron coming on down. Nothing to save. Misses the E because it's just too short, and that's an overstay from Hoya.
It is. He potentially could have flashed over the champions, then body slammed out, but I think he wants to just save his flash at that point, not knowing whether he'd survive. Vampire looks at an Ezreal E'ing in front of him, and in fairness, that's normally pretty good play, but I think it's a bit of a bait. I think Onyxen does himself a bit of an Oscar's night performance, and he gets himself into a bit of a bait beyond that point too. And you can see why the ult comes through. It's because he was trying to react to a teleport, and I think that he just doesn't quite react in time to it being cancelled, as Hoya was cancelled out by YSKM on the side lane.
I think if that teleport had come through, that would have been mid lane tier 1. Actually, IG do get that mid tier 1 themselves, so credit to Arn there. I think he could have been in seriously more danger otherwise. Doesn't quite happen on 1xN and the rest of TT once again trying to get towards this turret, but the Ziggs at this point such a menace with 2 items.
Yeah, I think Arn has been really just holding the door shut. I think Arn over this summer has been IG's best player. I think he very much understands the assignment here. He needs to protect this tower for as long as humanly possible. Otherwise, TT will be able to run across the rest of the map. As it stands, IG, they are currently ahead in gold, which is an important moment. Beitron flashing out, double ultimates wasted. Or rather, just flashed away from. That's going to be important. Does mean that the Zyra doesn't quite have something like a verdant barrier to ignore those ultimates right now. Won't have that flash to keep safe.
Yeah, I think going towards the Initialise next. Understandable, it's such a good combo right now. IG, in fairness to them, after some misplays, are still in this game. Could continue to get pretty scary because this Jax, having been given a kill towards that bot, I believe they're the one that picked up that kill against Hoya, is in a great spot now.
I think IG, the fact that they've held on to this mid turret through the heroics of Arn have allowed them to then unlock this Jax on the side lane. Now if YSKM gets himself into a flank, I think he can win the team fights, and that's what IG are looking for. The whole draft is about, can you get good flanks with a good combo onto your first target. Beitron has no flash, YSKM has flash, and he has that teleport. The next fight of the game that IG are looking for is probably YSKM getting himself a 2-item flank onto one of these carries. And see what they can do from that point. TT, they've lost their mid lane turret. They haven't been able to take the other one on the other side of that. Their game has stalled out somewhat.
We've got Soul Point in 5 seconds, though, and they are the ones in the river first. They managed to shove bot lane out and contest for mid lane wave, so they are still in position here. I'll note the speed shrine is IG, so there's a vision there that can't be contested, so they'll know that this is being started at least.
Right, so TT, they have themselves good vision control to make sure those flanks are harder to get, but YSKM can still find himself somewhere. Again, that flash makes it so much easier. Feather has his Celestial opposition taken away from him. When's the next big ultimate coming through?
Beitron will go and try and ward out YSKM. There's Dragon down about 6,000 HP. Hoya on a flank of his own gets hit by the Glacial Prism, but Zonya's so much of the damage. Hoya can look to cast, try and get away. He's actually going to be chunked pretty low. Stays alive, and the turnaround damage is big. Mega Inferno Bomb into 3. YSKM flashing the headbutt pole. Gets onto Hoya. Now they're getting to get some damage back as TT try to phase one out. The Stranglethorns are solid. Griffith flashing on out of that one. The culling is doing some work, but not of quite yet. Another pulverize from Feather, who just doesn't miss this series. The damage from the AD carries will surely run down the Jace. The defender of tomorrow broken today. Thunder
Talk Gaming, they have out-team fought, they have out-objected the IG team, and they don't even give a damn about this dragon on the bottom side of the map. They're going to run straight towards the Baron. IG looked for the flank. They found it, but through the heroics of Thundertalk, it was not enough. Zyra's going to melt this Baron, and Feather on the Alistair, really the hero of the play, going to stop this steal attempt coming through from GLFS.
Gonna hope so. Feather's holding on to his ability to prevent Griffin from getting anywhere near this. It goes down. There was no smite, I'll note. This is getting pretty dicey. Feather likely to die here. Will try and headbutt someone and gets another double pulverize.
Oh, folks, 0-7s in chat for Feather. I think he has absolutely saved the game. I think that the support difference in that last team fight was absolutely absurd. Watch what happens at the start. As Hoya gets caught out, but he has that Zhonya's, or rather the Seeker's arm guard. He can go and kind of like break open this combo. Watch what happens beyond this point. He flashes out and manages to get himself a body slam to safety, and a lot of the big cooldowns have now been used. You think that YSK on the flank can end this fight. Great flash over, but watch what happens beyond this point. The next cooldowns coming through from Feather pretty much solve this fight, and the Zenith Blade on Vision can't quite get anyone into the right place too. The fact that the Zenith Blade doesn't land, and then this headbutt pulverize does, or just the flash pulverize either, that's the game-turning fight. Honestly, Alistair ends up completely winning that, and a sad fail flash from Arn means that he is left to dust as well.
That feels so good. The other thing is Yukal and 1XM were largely untouched, and an Illusion and an Ezreal with low health bars at the end of a fight, it's always going to be difficult to escape from them. And now the Baron is through, and now they can continue to shove on for a bit more. Yes, they don't have Soul Point, but that map control they were struggling to have before this is now theirs to take.
TT, it took him a long time to overcome IG, and particularly Arn. I think Arn has had a good game despite that fail flash. He held open onto that mid lane turret for as long as humanly possible, but TT, they outlast that. Now with the Baron buff coming through, it should be so hard to defend against those 6 grubs, with the wave clear meaning much less against the Baron minions.
They will do their very best, but again, their range is interesting this game. The Jace and the Ziggs, solid of course, but Ziggs will struggle more into the Baron minions, and especially with the HP, you can't one-shot the minions of the Jace either. You need to start queuing on in to deal with that with your hammer form as well, and that is just very risky at this point. So the wave clear is going to be a little reliant on going through a few more rotations than you'd normally like.
GLFS going forwards, and the Stranglethorns come back down to bring him down to earth.
The Mega Inferno Bomb afterwards comes out, but it is just not enough at this point in the game. They lose a turret, they lose their jungler. YSKM going to get chunked out by a barrel as well, and now they're down a member as the shove continues.
GLFS doesn't even pull out that ultimate. Not really sure what he was looking for. He's had a bit of a difficult game on this Sejuani too. IG, as soon as that Baron went down, it became so much harder. TT going to walk towards the bot side now, use the last bit of this Baron buff to get themselves probably a 5,000 Baron power play. You rarely see them reaching towards quite that level. Massive breaking open of this game from TT. It will probably take another Baron to get themselves a finishing of this game due to the nature of Ziggs' wave clear, but the damage is done in terms of the combat stats and in terms of the map control.
You see it there as they go back and the items start getting completed. That's a third for Lucian. You're nearly at a third for the Ezreal. And that's Zyra going towards Azonius as well to prevent the easy pick. It's just getting harder and harder and harder. And we've already said, look, TT, their whole comp is keep away. Their whole comp is range and turnaround. And now you're trying to break through the Ryalize, the Warmogs on the Alistair, the range from these double AD carries.
And you know what? I have to say, this is a great time to talk about, you know, they have to play that keep away. You also have to position exceptionally well. I think Yukal and 1XN have had fantastic positioning. Yukal, just as we speak about it, doesn't even need to cleanse, buys both of the ultimates. Once again, a swing and a miss. You don't have combat stats, you don't have ults. IG, you need to retreat. And the blast company just killed their AD carry!
1XN survives, and now IG in desperation stations. This ship is sinking, and it's a torpedo from Thundertalk that might be doing the damage. Turnaround is good. YSKM on the flank. Could be dangerous on space one. Ghost Golden. Feather. Low. This could be a problem. Maybe IG can still make it work. They're so low. YSKM goes down to 1-4 right now, but Yukal in danger does not go down. 1XN gets another. Hoya finally falls, but the damage is well and truly done.
The ultimates went astray. They ended up failing their retreat, and Thundertalk Gaming have bluntly out team fought IG at their own game. IG are the team fighting team in the Nirvana group. TT do not care one bit. They have fought their way through their opponents in both games, and IG, they try to find something there, but just found one thing yet again.
And again and again and again, we see IG look for what looks on paper for a moment to be a fantastic flank. and it doesn't play out over the course of the longer fight.
You know, this is just after 1xN just broke the ankles of Vampire and Griffith yet again. I think that UCal and 1xN have been doing such a good job of putting out good damage. They outspace that big ultimate coming through from the Ziggs. But, you know, YSCam gets into the play, but it's just not onto the carries. Again, just look at how well the carries of TT have played out this fight. UCal and 1xN end the fight on so much HP, it was never really close.
Unfortunately, on the other side, I just watched Nani fail the Shock Blast to kill out the Zyra.
Vampire's dead again as we come to live.
Oh, no.
This has been a disaster class from Vampire. Start of the game, I think on the Leona, he was a good part of how they were going forwards with the solar flares, but the longer the game's gone on, the more he's been punished. For a player who's had a much better summer than his spring after that EDG Doom squad, this is sadly a return towards a bit of a difficult point. We're going to go towards this again. He's away from his team. Look, at this point in the game, you're an engaged support that's behind. You have to get vision down. Sadly, all of the carries can kill you. I don't think this is necessarily like the bad decision from Vampire. You need to get vision somewhere. It's just so easily to punish you now.
Especially now that this Lucian is at 4 items. It is so difficult. You will never be tanky to this champion again. Is Shy, what, a Lord Dominic's regard, something like that in this game, and then he really will be pretty much unmatchable in any 1v1.
TT gonna get themselves onto that last dragon, probably the last dragon of the game, let's be honest, folks. If it goes to another dragon, IG have pulled off some miracles. TT, they're gonna potentially go towards that Baron on the top side as well. Very, very strong. I think that Beitron has made a really good decision too to go towards the Zhonya's, as that next item gives him some extra defense, even though he doesn't have that flash. Feather goes in. UCal starting to put out the damage.
Does a huge chunk onto Griffith. Won't quite find it. YSChem will counter-strike to buy some time, even if it's the wrong esport, but he will not be finding any headshots this time around.
Okay, well, let's see if TT can retake the objective site of that Baron after IG have gone towards it. They're actually trying to do a bit of a switcheroo around this entire map, go towards mid lane instead. Arn has to throw the ultimate for wave clear. IG, if they're using ultimates like this when they're already behind so much gold, how is the fight's going to look when they don't have those extra abilities?
It does kind of get some chunk onto 1xM, but has it cleansed and will be just fine. Stays alive, and the triumphal roar keeps him topped up anyway.
And this is a big problem. TT, you know, they can sit here now saying, yes, we're going to have the cleanse down on a longer cooldown, but you don't have either of your big combos available now for the Baron. You use that Ziggs ult for wave clear. You've used the Leona and the Sejuani ults for attempted picks. If you go for a fight now, you don't have your ultimates.
Feather on the flank, unspotted. The shock blast just wide. Baron is gone. Blink and you miss it. Feather looking for the engage. Where are IG going to go? Vampire finally turning up. Feather does not pull the trigger. The headbutt and the pulverize still available.
Yeah, 1xN gets chunked out a little bit, so they don't want to go necessarily towards that. IG, they just don't have the ultimates. They threw them out kind of like all over the place just in the lead up once again. TT, good discipline from them to make sure that they can just not choose a poor fight, which is something which has plagued some of our Nirvana group teams. And now 180 just about gets out. The spell shield allows him to just about flash out before the pulverize comes in.
Just about. There is that fraction of a second there, which normally is pretty hard to do against the Alistair, who's very good at those. Hoya, though, face checks 4, goes golden, buys some time, but the blast going to take it away. No realistic way to go anyway. Actually goes flying on in, interestingly, but will die. That is a break of one of those Barons.
So, YSCam has flash, has ultimate. They're using that big ultimate. 1xN, no cleanse.
Feather in the backline trying to do some damage, but remember the stakes are so high. You're in Alistair. We know that's a dangerous point of view. Still continue to go on forwards. The damage is huge. They lose 1, make that 2 on the side of Thunder Talk, but they are still going to break into the base.
They lose 2, but the damage on UCal is still insane. Yes, Barry has flash.
Gotta do so much damage. It's 1v3, and he does not give a single damn.
UCal is so much damage. It doesn't matter that you've killed even 2 people. That was a good fight from IG. They pick off people when they don't have cleanses, they don't have their team necessarily by them, and they get themselves some kills, but they still can't get rid of all of this damage. UCal has had what amounts to a poor year for him. He was a top 5 mid laner in LPL in 2023. He hasn't been close to that, especially throughout spring and the start of summer. But this game and the last few which we've seen from him have started to give us that extra kind of look into how his form is coming about. 4 going on 5 items on this Lucian. He is so ready to clean up shop. Starts with Hoya just being really disrespectful. He just walks into the enemy jungle. He could have also flashed out north and body slammed out. I think he made a bit of a mistake flashing into the enemy team there. That's a bit of a mistake from him. And you want to extend, of course, he doesn't have that cleanse. Griffith manages to find himself a really good ult onto him. And that's going to be basically the easiest way to get through. YSCam does use that flash, though. Not going to be able to pull off that trick twice.
The damage in many ways is done. The base is broken. And again, this Lucian is just so strong. There's not much more to be done in this game. It's going to be kind of all but over for the weeping at this point. IG have got one last roll of the dice, but it is heavily weighted against them. Beijuan here. Use the plants to try and get hold of this one. Yeah, he gets hit, and he doesn't have any way to Solar Flare or get out of the Solar Flare, so just dies.
No, he could have just used the Zhonya's. He uses that flash. He had the way out and just chooses not to. TT getting really quite disrespectful now. Both Hoya and Beijuan going into the enemy jungle, now finally getting picked off by those engage ultimates of IG that were missing before. I wonder if they've been lulled into a sense of false sense of security rather, because of all of this ultimates missing earlier. They still need to be aware that the damage from IG is very strong onto the squishier members of their team.
45 seconds until Soul. Of course, Beijuan won't be up in time to get over there realistically, so that shouldn't change all that much. Don't know whether this late in the game the cooldowns on those ultimates will matter all that much.
No, they basically won't at this point. You've got too much cooldown reduction, too many levels. So TT showcasing that, yes, they can still die. They can still get picked off. IG, we said, hey, if the game survives through to another dragon, they've probably pulled off some miracles. I mean, given the picks they've had, it feels a little bit close to that. TT still very, very strong. 1xN does have his cleanse available. Much harder to lock him down. Need to see how well this combo from Arn and Vampire can work out again. Of course, Griffith, part of that too. TT, they still need to be very afraid of the damage coming through. This game is not over, even though they should be so expected to win.
Now the fact that the river is very much in control of IG gets a bit scary. They'll force through bot lane to find some ingress in. Feather face checking here, not that easy to take down. Beijuan comes back on over, uses the plants to spot out some vision. Teleport now from Hoya to join the rest of the team.
Great minefield there from Arn as well. Just make sure that 1xN can't be there for any poke. Now that has died, you can't get yourself too many minefields down and too many corridors. Feather also trying to get himself into a strong position. Griffith, as you're rightly saying, looking for that engage, looking for the flank. YSCam, no flash, but looking for the same.
It's on to Beijuan again. This time goes golden. Saved it for this final moment. Dragon goes down. Soul secured. Damage onto Feather. Does not go down as the Stranglethorns come flying across and the light is finally snuffed out. They thought they might have a moment, but there is just nothing left in Invictus Gaming, their namesake ally this time around. As Thunder Talk walk the walk, lightning follows their footsteps.
Yucal with the triple kill to end things off. It's a bit of a prodigal son moment for him. He has struggled so much across this year, but as it comes to really come to terms with this Nirvana group, the importance of this stage of the Rumble part of the LPL tournament, he stands up. He is accounted for. TT, take the series.
11-1 on Lucian. It's a huge game from Yucal. The rest of the team playing out a fantastic early game snowball in terms of objectives, and they will 2-0 Invictus Gaming. And this, I think it is fair to say, is the best we have seen Thunder Talk look in a very long time.
Now, this is the team that took that one game off of JDG. This is that team which we thought could punch up a little harder. The fact that they did it versus Invictus Gaming when Invictus Gaming looked like they were coming into form as well, I don't think that is something which you can shrug off. IG looked good coming into this series. They looked awful today versus TT, but a lot of that is just a product of the TT just outplaying them. And IG, they kept trying the same tricks over and over. TT were wise to them. They come away with a very, very strong 2-0 from that point. And we will now see an evening up of 1-on-1 between these two teams.
And them out on your screen there, Yucal, I might be due a second MVP. I feel like Feather might nick it from him because he had a fantastic Alistair game on the whole. Some of those engages were incredibly crisp.
I think probably Yucal's gonna get it for his huge triple kills across the fight. The fact that he's got, honestly, welcome back, Yucal. This guy is really good when he's on form. If he keeps playing like this, I am excited for Thunder Talk. I want to see this team more.
Well, we're still here. I'm Sam, that's Alex, Initialise Nymaera. We go by various names on the internet, and we do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which is namely co-streaming the LPL, because there is no English broadcast. So you can tune in right here on Nymaera's channel, where we will be covering all of those games. There will be no breaks, there will be no stops, there will be no missing of the